recording. So no more effing and jeffings, any of you.
Oh, is it?
Well, it has been known. Andy did the first one ever back when we first started, didn't he?
Really?
Yeah.
He did.
I said flipping heck.
You didn't. You said the big F word. You did.
Did I? Oh, yes, I did.
You did. I don't mind.
It was good enough for Kenneth Tannen. It's good enough for me. Let me just find what I was going to do. Oh, yes. I think I'll forward it to Mr. Holden. Talk amongst yourself.
Well, I always find it hard to talk when I'm staring at the screen because I always panic it's not going to do something. Oh, there we are. We're on Facebook. Hello, Facebook.
Hello, good
Welcome
evening,
in, Facebook folk. Oh, there's people on Facebook already. We've got a couple of people already watching us. That's nice. That makes a change. Yeah. Yeah, there's two people.
Oh, three, I think.
Yeah. How are you watching us on Facebook, Paul?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Well, that doubles the viewing figures. That makes me feel like, you know, my ratings have gone up. Hello and welcome in, folks. It's the Monday night words and meanings chat. And just before we get started on anything we're doing tonight, we must point out that next Monday is one of our monthly specials. We will have musicologist Derek Shelmerdine as our hot seat, and he's going to do 64 years ago when Paul met John hanging out at was it Walton Village Fete, was it, Paul? Was it? Is that right, Paul? The Walton Village Fete, was it? When Paul met John 64 years ago?
Well, it was more than likely.
Yeah, yeah. So no, Derek, kindly, I've already seen his some of his crib sheets of some really early Beatles. The stuff that the Beatles were influenced by, Tony Sheridan, the Coasters, the Beat Brothers, Little Richard, Pete Best, Chuck Berry, the Top Notes, and the Beatles. And somewhere in the middle of it, but he said only to play a part of it, Engelbert Humperdinck. Yeah, I know. I knew you'd say that. Yeah, Karen grimace as well. I think Andy has kindly agreed to play 2 or 3 live tunes next week.
Yes, I have.
You're going to do the obvious song, which is when I'm 64, isn't it? You're going to do that for us, and are you doing 20 Flight Rock and something else?
I'm going to do a song called "In Spite of All the Danger," which was one of the first recordings we made.
Yeah. And you know, if anyone's got little stories about meeting the Beatles when they were little boys, Paul, or you know, being in love with Paul because he was cute, then Zoe, Karen, you know, if you want to declare that undying love for a Beatle, next week's the time to do it live on air.
Thank you.
Zoe's too young. She probably doesn't know who we're talking about. They were like One Direction for old people, Zoe.
No, I can't believe you're comparing One Direction to the Beatles.
No, I'm saying that you're so much younger than the rest of us.
I know, but the Beatles, right? They rock. The Beatles are so much better than One Direction. Come on now.
You are 100% right. You are 100% right.
Can I do something especially for you?
Go on. Because
I think Zoe, I'm going to show our loyalty to Zoe by showing us something that she wants. Okay, it's all right. Okay. Don't worry, Facebookers. This will not make you afraid.
Are you dropping your zip on telly again?
It's actually one of my favourite items.
Oh, you've got one of them. Go on.
That's brilliant.
Yeah? Can you play it?
Yeah, I can play it, but the problem is it doesn't feel as rich and as warm as the sound you get from a solid body bass.
Yeah.
Oh, you should totally give it a go. You can't not play it. Not only brought it out.
Up here.
I
couldn't play it up here. So it's like,
yeah, you could.
17, you know what I mean, and the way she looked, way beyond compare.
Woo! Standing there's the line you're looking for, Andy.
Yeah, it is the real item.
Yeah. So is that a violin bass? Is this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's
how
like
old?
you found that name.
How old is that, Andy? Then is that enough phone? A reissue? Huh?
It's one that I bought 3 years ago. I was waiting on a Hofner from Germany, and unfortunately, you couldn't guarantee delivery for over 3 months. This is the pattern of my life, judging by the recent bass I bought. So what I did was I ordered this, but thanks to Pat Mack, who we met out of the Midnight Daisies.
We did. They were great.
I'm getting a Hofner bass.
Oh, you know.
Fantastic.
Yeah, the Midnight Daisies were utterly brilliant. We saw them about 3 weeks ago, didn't we? In a lovely pub in Walton Way, was it? Is it Walton?
The Derby Arms.
The Derby Arms, good pub that. We enjoyed that night.
But it turns out I've got a connection in with all of the Midnight Daisies because I played with Paula, who Paula is a lady called Paula Taggart, who's a teacher at my daughter's school. And in fact, it was the head of year up until she went into, was it year 12? I never remember what to call them now. Year 12 school. So Paula also played bass in an ad hoc band we had. And Linda Wooding used to play bass. So Linda Wooding used to play bass in Midnight Daisies. And in fact, she had the first, you know, the bass have got the Steinberg, she had the first one I ever saw. So we've always been bass buddies, you know, and Tracy's been a friend of mine for years. So they're very influential.
And they've got a Freya is the singer, and young Gary the drummer, and cajon player. He was rather good, wasn't he?
He can play anything. He's
brilliant. Yeah, I know. He played. He could.
And he's also from Kirby, which is why I've known him for a long time.
Yeah. Now I'm just going to play a song before any of you do anything you want to do. Not just because I'm in charge, which isn't meant to sound like that, but Dave was particularly enamored with this song. He was dancing in his seat last night, Andy. And this is, Andy will tell you why we love this song in a minute. I just want you all to listen to it and then clap at the end.
Cries the crow on the cradle, and if it should be that our child is a girl, never you mind if her hair doesn't curl. Rings on her fingers and bells on her toes, a bomber above her wherever she goes. Cries the crow on the cradle. Rock-a-bye baby, the black and the white. Somebody's baby is born for a fight. Rock-a-bye baby, the white and the black. Somebody's baby is not coming back. Cries the crow on the cradle. Your mama and papa, they'll scrimp and they'll save, build you a coffin and dig you a grave. Hush-a-bye, little one, why do you weep? We have a toy that will put you to sleep. Cries the crow on the cradle.
So yes, as usual, I forgot to hit the share sound button, didn't I? But that is Kareem Polwart and Crow in the Cradle. Andy, you were there last night. You saw Dave rocking along in his seat to that, didn't he? Really, he perked up when that one came on, didn't he?
I can play guitar reasonably well, but you know when I listen to Kareen and Stephen and to Inga, and you realise that there's some things that you long for what you lack, don't you? And I realised there's some things where obviously it's very refined and very beautiful sound. It was lovely, absolutely lovely. Everything she did was great.
She played that sort of, it was like a keyboard organ that was wind powered, wasn't it?
I forgot what they call them. They use them quite a lot when you know when you see like
well, they're usually powered by feet pumping. They're normally powered by feet pumping bellows, that type of thing.
Well, you know, when musicians, when they're playing things like a ziver, you know, it's like what's it called, sword mandel, things like that, or they're playing like clay drums, you know, tabla and all that. And they normally play this thing. It's played, as you saw in the horizontal. I don't know particularly what it does, whether it does a different job to a normal accordion, but it was very effective. And I love the sort of, I always describe things in a very sort of strange way, but you know, like a woody acoustic sound. I love that, you know.
But I mean, it was a great gig, wasn't it? I mean, the Philharmonic Music Room is for acoustic type music must be the best venue in Liverpool, I would think.
Well, it was made especially good because it was with two of my friends with obviously.
Yeah, you introduced me to two of your friends. I know.
Yeah, because I met an old friend of mine who's Louise McClelland's vocal tutor, which was Grace Allwood and her friend Gemma. It's a small world after all. It
was, yeah. You even made us move seats, didn't you?
I know, but I reckon it's the safety in numbers, isn't it? You knew you were all right if you sat with
Well, I mean, it was totally sold out, wasn't it? I mean, and they did two wonderful sets. And then Inga did a couple of pieces that she's composed herself, which I was on Twitter earlier today. And don't know if you know Ultan Mulhern from the Folk Doctors.
I know the Folk Doctors. I didn't know.
Yeah, he's one half of the Folk Doctors. Well, he said he was gutted they hadn't made the gig last night because they had an elsewhere to be. But he was saying Inga's got a CD house, and Inga Thomas is her name, and she's got a CD house, and he says it's his favourite at the moment. But Kareem Polwart has won the BBC Radio.You Folk Award 5 years out of the last 7, Andrew, which I think says a lot. Because there's a lot of good folk music out there.
I think what it is, though, is a lot of acoustic guitarists are very aspirant. You know, we want to write something that people will remember. But it's a real effort to come up with anything in the same ballpark when you hear someone like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it automatically also gives you ideas. I realise a lot of my songs about relationships or...
Well, she's more about ecology and the planet and nature, isn't she?
Nature,
yeah. But absolutely brilliant. So if you've not discovered Kareem Polwart,
that's how I work.
Yeah,
like percolated into my system.
Yeah, but no, folks out there, if you've not discovered Kareem Polwart, get onto your listening platform of choice, or Spotify, as most of you call it, and discover her, because she is exquisite. She's got a brilliant voice. She writes stuff that's worth listening, but she also, that song's a cover, isn't it, Andy? She did say who it was by last night. But, you know, she played quite a few traditional Scottish songs.
There's a musician who passed on who it was by.
That's right. He was from Dundee, I think, wasn't he? I think.
Yeah, I'd have to try and remember the name.
Yeah. But you know, she played her own stuff, but you know, the beauty of what she did is like she said, she'd had an American musician tag her on Instagram saying, I really like one of your songs, hope you don't mind, but here's my version of it. And she really liked it, and she thought, he does it in such a different way. I wonder if I could do a cover of him doing my song. She was going to try and come up with a way of doing a cover of him, but the song that she was covering was still her song, which I thought was quite amusing, really. It's like Chinese whispers for musicians, that, isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
it's good because it means that people recognize the talent in it, and they recognize the melody and the actual lyrics of the song.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, we're just going to chat tonight, bit of music, bit of prose, hoping a bit of poetry. I've not written anything, but I might be able to find something I've written previously if I'm lucky.
Oh, good.
Brian's disappeared, so he's obviously having his tea. Paul hopefully has written something for us, or there's something.
Yeah.
Karen said she's got something new and maybe something else from a past to share with us. Karen, is that right?
I've got something new, and I've got something that somebody else is an American poet's poem about autumn.
Oh,
autumn, yeah. Well, I mean, we've got to make the most of it because apparently winter's coming because the gas bill's gone up.
no, it'll be cracking the flags again soon.
It was lovely today. It was lovely today. I had to go in and out a few times today. I popped around to see our good friend Ian D. Hall earlier, and it was t-shirt weather. 3 o'clock today.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good. So Zoe, other than going to give us a few poems, have you been out and done any open mics recently? Has there been anything on, or nothing the last week or so?
There's not really been not open mic wise, no.
Yeah. So the one that most of us will be going to, and well, I know I am, and you will be, and Paul has been known to go that far north, and Andy eventually will, is Thursday the 21st of October. So that's next Thursday, isn't it? It's next Thursday. A week Thursday. Sally Ann will be hosting the Mad Poets Club at the Hightown pub, right by the station. You can more or less stagger off the train into the pub. No, you stagger from the pub to the train. I'm getting it the wrong way around, aren't I? But you can limber from the train down 100 yards, Zoe, I would think, is it, if that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Into the Hightown, which is a rather lovely pub now, isn't it, Zoe? You were there last time.
I think so.
Been done up rather nicely. We've got a new PA system, have we not, Andrew? Andy and I were both bidding for the same thing on eBay until we realised we were both bidding for the same thing on eBay. So we came up with a cunning plan. We came up with a cunning plan of going halves. So we both saved 100 quid, didn't we?
Yeah, it was a great idea.
That's it. Do it.
Yeah. I said I've bid 200 quid, and Andy said so have I. Tell you what, shall we go halves and I'll give you 100 quid, and then we.
In terms of road test, it was absolutely perfect.
Yeah, so we've got
You're not getting it back now.
I'll can I not rent it? Is it £20 a night? £20 a night. That makes sense, wouldn't it? We get our money back in no time. We should.
Absolutely.
It's convenience because myself and Tony both need a PA.
Yeah.
Me for performance, and what is that? Look down U-bolts in the background.
Yeah.
But I mean, Tony needs PA. I need a PA. But what we've done is pooled our resources. And he also has another reserve PA, but he wanted something a bit more powerful, and I wanted something a bit more powerful than what I have.
Yeah, oh no, Zoe's used my little backup PA, and it's okay. But the advantage of this one is the speakers are on proper stands. They're fairly lightweight, so they're not going to hurt anyone putting them up. It's got a proper PA mixer thing, hasn't it? So you can actually add a bit of sound to people's voices if they want a bit of reverb or anything. And it comes with it's got a microphone thrown in, hasn't it? So so we've got a bargain really. It's certainly more than good enough for a small church hall or anything like that, isn't it? Really, which will make a big difference really, because although not everyone likes using a microphone, Zoe, with open mic poetry, some people like to just read their poem. If you can get the mic in the right place for the person, they should just ignore that it's there and just read their poem.
Absolutely. I mean, personally, I think you can feel more secure knowing it's there. Yeah. It's almost like you put your back up.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly the right thing to say, because there's one or two people who sort of don't want to use it, and I'm thinking, don't view it as something artificial. Just view it as something that's there to back you up and help you, really.
Absolutely.
I mean, no one knows how loud the room's going to be. Anyway, so I think we'll let Paul treat us to a word first.
You can do.
That's enough. That's enough. That was 2 words. That was 2 words. You've already had double dose.
I got an email this morning from Liverpool Irish Festival.
Oh, when is that, Paul? Tell us more.
October 21st it starts.
So go on.
the email said this poem, which I believe I read for this group a couple of weeks ago, about one of my ancestors called McGrew.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well.
It's going in their anthology.
Oh, well done. Well, they were both pieces you read that night, Paul. They were stunning. They really were. So hold on. So the Liverpool Irish Festival starts a week tomorrow? Is it?
Yeah. October 21st.
Yeah, well, it's a week Thursday, same as Sally Ann's Poetry Night. And how long does it run for?
10 days, I think.
And it's mainly at the Irish Centre at the top of Brownlow Hill.
Various places around town centre, but yeah, the Irish Centre on West Derby Road will be the centre for a lot of things.
Yeah. So are you going to be going along and performing?
Well, I imagine so. The email said I'll be in touch with you to see about recording it for but it's going in the anthology anyway.
Oh, Paul, that's really great news.
Really
I mean, it's nice when something that you've written is picked up independently by someone who sees the merit of it and can do something with it, because you know how hard it is to even self-publish, let alone go with a small publisher. And I know you've had something published with a big publisher in America, but they hardly nip over every weekend and bring you another crate of books, do they? It's might do well in America, but we're not treated the same way in the UK, are we? Unfortunately.
No.
Yeah. So are you going to read us that piece, or have you got something else for now? What you treat us to?
I can read that. It might be a bit long, but there's not very many of us.
Well, there's people out there who will be watching, and people out there who will, watch later on.
I don't want to hog too much time for
honestly, I think it's nice if everyone has got something that they want to read and share. Let's make the most of the fact that we're not thinking, oh gosh, there's 10 more people. So you take your time, tell us all about it. It's your relatives, this, isn't it?
Yeah, Cormac Rugh was the last acknowledged High King of Ireland in the ancient days when there were 7 kingdoms. The biggest of them was the Kingdom of Tara, which is present-day Roscommon, Meath, and bits of Leitrim as well. So it was the biggest of the 7 kingdoms. And Cormac Rugh, the red-haired, was the last king of the line. He died with no issue, so there were no children to take over the crown. And Cormac Rugh, well, I'll just read the poem as it says. It says, Ode to the Chief. It was written apparently by a blind harpist who worked for the king. His name was Turlo O'Carolan. And he was blind, and he wrote this poem about Cormac. Hail to the chief, Adri, and Era's greatest prize. Prince of Culavin, Tara's king, wisdom in you lies. Fiercest in battle, merciful in victory, just in time of peace. Thus do minstrels sing your glory, ballads which never cease. The year's wheel turned to winter cold, Cormac Rugh would wandering go, and chanced upon a secret grove where gentle waters flowed. Of a sudden his heart was gladdened, as his ears were caressed, blessed with peals of ringing laughter, bathing him in its warmth. Through the long dry day Cormac Rugh held his purpose tight, turning neither to the left nor the right, as he followed the musical sprite which had beguiled him. Food and drink forgotten, ignored, yet found he neither sign nor spore of the prize he sought. Full willing he followed, mile upon mile, beguiled by the half-promise of an unseen maiden's smile, until the thrill of the long day's heated chase ceded place to the susurrations of the semi-silent night. As the sun sets in the warm western sea, a lone figure bars Cormac's way. a giant among men, dark skin, blue eyes, open smile swaying, the polished bowl of a full-grown rowan in his hand displaying. Is it weapon or badge of office? Is he friend or foe? Old Cormac must know. The stranger shifts his stance. Hail, generous prince, our dream be welcome. What purpose draws you through the day, and so far from your town? A voice I hear, a melody, at times distant, at others near. My feet have carried me league on league, mile on endless mile. The singer I would meet, who has my heart beguiled. Then honour me, my prince, famed champion of Culavin. Accept my offer of lodging for the night. Then lead my men in battle as they sally forth to regain the golden hurl and hordes. And so that morning, Cormac broke bread with his host, who placed in the prince's powerful, pristine palm the shimmering shafts of sacred, spell-rich rowan. And with firm hand, the captain's band he placed on Cormac's arm. Thus armed, Cormac led the giant's chosen champions into battle, his hurley resting easy on his shoulder. Upon the field, Satan's team stomped and howled until the crowd gathered around, feared the skies themselves might smolder. Then Satan himself strode forth and snarled his challenge, raising his steam and ebon hurlstick above his head. O foolish Cormac, ere this paltry game is over, you'll wish 1,000 times that you were dead. Yet Cormac faced him eye to eye, gave the devil no reply. But when the hurl was tossed up high, Cormac rose higher and took the first tap. Back and forth the battle flowed, shaking both heaven and earth. Both teams suffered savage loss. Blood flowed freely through the day. Flat-footed, the sun stumbled for the horizon in the shadows of the night. As the sad day leaked away, the devil guarded his goal. Vain princeling, foolish mortal, he taunted, tonight I'll eat your soul. But Cormac had the rage of battle on him and would not be denied. Summoning his final strength from deep in the field, straight and true flew the hurl, accelerating, glowing white hot, delivering the dread demon a grievous blow, driving him down. Hurl in hand, he ground to ground behind the goal line. I claim the game, and with it my prize, Cormac thundered, towering over the vanquished worm. And bringing forth his scared dew, he clove the serpent's jawline through. From the foulest of prisons stepped a maiden fair, with almond eyes and rippling flaxen hair, and told in song, with honey-sweet word, how Cormac grew her plea for help had heard, and raised the length of Meath to free her from the serpent. All hail to Cormac, Tara's lord and master, whose bravery and skill did foil disaster. From that time forth, I, and forevermore, no serpent breathes or lives on the Erin's shores.
Wonderful stuff. Wonderful stuff. So is that the one that's going in the anthology, Paul? Or
that's what is going in the anthology, yeah.
Excellent.
Oh, fantastic.
It really is powerful stuff, isn't it? I mean, even if you're not Irish. Oh, Brian Gibson. We've got Brian Gibson in the room.
Just about.
Are you all right, Uncle Brian?
I am.
All we could see was your empty chair and connecting to audio for about 5 minutes.
I know, because I said, when I messaged you today, I said it's going to be a little bit of a rush, but I got here. So I did what I needed to do. I've been
Yeah.
with Francesca today. I had a lovely, lovely day with her.
The crafty nutkin, as we call her.
Yeah, with the crafty nutkin. I call her nutkin.
I know.
Um,
Yeah. So is she busy getting ready for Halloween cards? Does she do Halloween?
Yeah, she's done some Halloween cards, but what she's done now is a load of Christmas cards. You know, like
You've got to get started, haven't you?
yeah, and like pre-packed, which is 6 in a pack.
Yeah.
A tenner.
That's brilliant, Valiant.
And with the envelope, and she'll post it as well.
Yeah.
But I've seen she showed them today. She put up a nice big spread out in the garden at the front on a little table.
Is she going to get to some of the local craft fairs? They're starting off now, I think, some of the craft fairs. You know, where Saturday in the church hall and whatever. The St. Edmunds over the road from there not do anything on, you know.
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
I know there was someone that she inquired about and they got back to her and it cost a fortune.
Oh, really?
Insurance and all kinds of stuff.
It used to be like 10 or 20.
Only 150 quid for a table.
No, it was more. It was like you got to take an insurance thing out or something. Then you got to do this. You got to do that.
And the
time.
Yes, yeah.
Well,
hard work.
We'll come back to that in a minute. But
okay,
I think what we should do, because otherwise he falls asleep. I've noticed sometimes his eyes go down because he's getting old now. Andy is. Look, see, he's off. He's gone. He's gone. But no, on a serious note, Andy, are you allowed to say what you did last Monday?
Well, I did one
last Monday. Is it top secret, or are you allowed to say where you went on Monday, what you did?
Oh no, we can tell them.
Go on then.
Right, what it was, I had an invite from a gentleman called Mark Holdsworth, and he does sessions where you sing and play, and he video it. And I asked Tony to go with me as a cajon box player, and also our friend John Albert Hall, who went and played the guitar. For the sessions took place on a riverboat, a narrow boat on the canal.
In Oswestry.
The Oswestry in Shropshire. And so there's something about performing on a boat. It was in the crotch of the boat, like the open end. But normally during the summer, you have all the canvas off and it's revealed. What he does during the winter is he has a framework which he puts over it. So we're performing in there. Now, I've done a couple. John Hall's done a few, and Tony hadn't been before. But it was quite unusual to do.
It was fabulous, wasn't it?
Well, the one thing about it was that you just felt it was like it's something out of the box. It's like something you wouldn't do every day.
So it'll be on you. The first of the 3 tracks will be on YouTube probably next week or the week after. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, by luck and circumstance, he's done 101 sessions this year, I think he was saying. And 38 of them or thereabouts get picked to go onto a compilation CD, don't they? Later on. He does it by a very clever method called putting all 100 into a hat, and he draws 38 out, and they go on a double CD, don't they? Which sounds rather marvellous.
I know. I did try giving them a Chinese band to persuade them to include us. But,
it's a 1 in 3 chance. You can't. That's not bad odds, is it? So which three songs did you do, Andy? Can you remember?
I did. God, I got to think now. I did Start Again. I did. Oh, it's terrible, isn't it? It was only last Monday. I've forgotten them already. Start Again. To Say Goodbye, I think I did. And I'm trying to think of the third one. I can't remember.
They've all got to be ones you've not done before. You've got to do new material if you do it again.
But what it was John Hall hadn't written anything, and so persuaded him to come along and back me.
Well, he played slide dobro, didn't he? Really, modern guitar, really, wasn't it?
But the whole idea of what I was trying to do was that it's like a day out more than a session, isn't it? It's really quite a.
And we got mugs. We've got performers mugs, haven't we?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So the one thing about it is you've got to do something like that once in a while. If someone suggested do a session in a hot air balloon, I'd say when, and make sure I wore a warm coat.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So have you got what's called a guitar to hand, or you just sat there?
It's funny. It's shaped like one.
Well, that looks like a guitar. Is that your new one?
That's a new one.
Has he got a name yet? So do you give them names?
I haven't got a name for this one yet.
No? Yeah.
Oh, he's totally give it a name, poor thing. No name. Can't do that.
Okay, I'm going to call it Zoe. So there.
Nice. Yeah, good name.
Okay.
You do Sunshine on a Rainy Day for us then.
Where's it? Sunshine on a rainy day. No, I'm not doing that.
That was by Zoe. That was one of Zoe's hits, wasn't it? Sunshine on a Rainy Day.
No, I can't do that. I'm not the physique for it.
Well, fair enough. So anyway, are you going to treat us? Because you are now officially rehearsing, aren't you?
Yes, I'm in rehearsal.
You're in proper rehearsal mode now, aren't you? Because in 5 weeks' time, yourself and said John Albert Hall and Dave Holden, the three of you and friends or guests, as they may be called,
Mark Tully, yeah,
are performing at the Philharmonic in Liverpool.
Yeah.
So it's Wednesday, 10th of November. Doors about 7:15.
Right.
The food's good if you're early. Get there early. Get your tea.
And bring yourself. That's important. Bring yourself.
Yeah, well, it would be nice to see some people there, because we've got a wonderful sound engineer, a random occurrence that I've known Gareth Easton for a long while, actually. And we went to a similar gig, which a young chap called John Jenkins put on with some of his friends and guests about a month ago, I suppose. And rather than stressing out over twiddling all the knobs himself, he had Gareth Easton running his PA system, sound engineering, didn't he?
Yeah.
And you thought, do you know what? If ever we could play at the Philharmonic, if we could get someone like Gareth Easton to be our sound engineer, it'd make life easy. And he said yes, didn't he? Just like that.
Because what I thought was, there's a lot of nerves attached to a big event. And I thought the one thing I could do without is that feeling that would induce a stomach ulcer. So I thought, let's get someone to do the PA. He'll mix it to the optimum level, make it sound really sweet and nice. And that way we can concentrate on playing and singing the songs we do, and it was difficult for some people because they felt, oh no, I want to be able to do it myself, but you've got to let some things go and take a professional approach upon it. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
And I'm pleased I did, because it's enabled us to concentrate on getting the songs done. We practiced with our friends Lucy Picker-Vance, Tween Nguyen, and David Holden. And Dave will be playing lead guitar or bass or acoustic guitar or mandolin. I'll be playing bass or acoustic guitar. And Tony will be playing cajon box. And if we force him, we'll give him a Chinese bear and he's singing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Twee is playing flute, which sounded quite
good. Plays
good.
Two different flutes, doesn't she?
She does. I'm not quite sure what they are because I don't know.
Well, one's an alto, isn't it? One was the big long one's an alto flute. I think the other one is what you might just call a flute.
A flute.
But it did add a lovely little counterpoint harmony to the chorus lines.
It was very pastoral.
Because Dave was a bit unsure about, because he's still forming his own ideas of what he does want to perform. He hasn't quite got his set list yet.
Yeah,
but, he let Twee play along on a couple of his songs, and the smile on his face. He turned around, he went, "That really worked. That was really, really good." And it was so nice to see that, because I think it's hard enough to perform on your own, and a lot of people do that. But to trust someone else to sing with you or play another instrument, maybe an instrument you can play yourself. Or add something like a bit of drum or a bit of keyboard. He was beaming all over. It was lovely to see. But yeah, we did a good 3 hours rehearsing, didn't we? We did about 4 of your songs, 2 or 3 of Dave's. And we're going to be at it again this coming Saturday, are we not?
Yep.
And
one thing about it though is people say, well, why don't you just practice at home? It doesn't cost you anything. But it's a bit like going to work. If you've got to do it, if you pay for a rehearsal room, it puts you in the mood that now we've got to go to work and do something.
Yeah.
And so it probably fits in with my work ethic as a musician, that once you're there, you can't just kick your heels and waste time. You've got to do something.
Oh, yeah, no, it was pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So, are you going to treat us to an old song, a new song, a cover song? What are you doing?
I'm going to do. I was thinking about this. I was thinking about the Blackpool Lights.
Oh,
You
I
know,
wish
'cause
my
I always
friend
used to go-
Susan had joined us. She was there on Saturday. She's written 2 kids' books about Blackpool, my friend Susan Brownrigg. And they're set in the 1930s, which is when they first had what you might call a celebrity turn the lights on. So the first year, it was just, well, I say just the mayor. Obviously, it was the mayor the first year. And the second year, they were going to technically just ask the mayor to do it again. Whether it was the same mayor or not, I don't know. I can't remember. But it turned out there was a 15-year-old schoolgirl who'd just been voted the Blackpool Railway Queen. You know, like might have a May Queen. Well, railways were pretty big back then. So she'd just been voted like the Railway Queen. And he saw her, you know, at an event. And he thought, you know what? Wouldn't she make a better person to turn the lights on than me? So this 15-year-old girl called Audrey Mosson technically was the first celebrity to turn the Blackpool Lights on. And my friend
Ooh.
Susan has used her as a character in her. She's written a lovely kids mystery book about someone trying to interfere with the light switch on and do nasty things to Audrey. And it's a lovely story. So it's called Gracie Farshaw and the Mysterious Guest is the first one. And there's a magician in it, and there's some children trying to help her solve this mystery. But they're wonderful books. But she was up in Blackpool interviewing a lady who danced. You know, Blackpool has the ballroom where Strictly goes.
Mm.
Yeah? Well, back in the 30s and 40s,
Just there.
the big thing was a children's ballet. There was a big children's ballet every year for Christmas. And she was interviewing a couple of ladies who were in the one, but who were nearly in their 90s, maybe even much more in their 90s, who were in the ballet back in the 30s. So that's going to be part of another book in the future. So you're going to do some George Formby for us, aren't you?
No. No, I've got a better idea. Actually, no, I'll tell you what it was. I've got a record amongst my collection, and I remember hearing it. You know, when you're 10 and you think, records fascinated me, and that's why, as you can probably see now, I have an awful lot of them. And what happened was, I loved a particular one, which was Jethro Tull.
Oh, yeah.
Life is a Long Song, but I'm not going to play that one. But I always thought, you know, I love the pastoral thing about it, and also because, as I already mentioned, Twee played the flute on Saturday, and it put me in mind of this.
Of Ian
and then I was
Anderson.
thinking about Blackpool. Yeah. Let me see if I can play this. I've got to get a firmer pick. This is a pleck, not what you thought you heard.
Mm.
And Casey and the Sunshine Band never covered this one, Karen. Just want to tell you that. We're going up the pool, down the smoke below, to taste my mum's jam sandwiches and see our auntie flow. The candy floss salesman, watching ladies in the sand, down for a freaky weekend, in the hope of they'll be meeting this universe. The iron tower smiles down upon the silver sea, and along the golden mile they'll be swigging mugs of tea. The politicians there, prepared to take the air, while posing for the daily press, we look around and blame the mess on Edward Pierce. There'll be bucket spades and bingos, got-goat knuckles, rainy days, seaweeds and sandcastles as he waves, deck chairs, rubber dinghies, all those braces dangling down, the sunfast and the starfish in the days. We're going up the pool, without a smoke below, to taste my mum's jam sandwiches and see how anti flew. The handy flash salesman, watching ladies in the sand, down for a freaky weekend, in the hope of they'll be meeting, 'cause the universe. There'll be buckets, spades, and bingos, golf course, muscle, rainy days, seaweed and sand castles as you wave. They just rubber dinghies, all those braces dangling down, suntanned and the starfish in a day. They're going up the pool, down the Smith below. The taste my mum's jump sign is, and see our anti-flow. The candy floss salesman, watching ladies in the sand, down for a freaky weekend, in the hope of they'll be meeting, 'cause the universe. Old Blackpool, old Blackpool.
Whoa.
Oh, is that a Jeff O'Toole song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't believe
Well,
me, but
good,
it is.
isn't it? Yeah, I'll believe you. I'll believe you.
No, what it was that it's a 5-track EP, and actually it took me a few years to find it. But when you mention to people, why does it influence you? Because I was 10, I absorbed music like crazy. And the first record I bought was T-Rex's Telegram Sam, which was about 6 months after that. So it's like, it reminds me of a very happy time in my life when all this was to be discovered. You're watching these circles of plastic spinning around.
So, Brian, talking of discovering stuff when you were 10, who would you have been discovering? What turned you on to listening to and buying music? Was there anyone or not?
I liked, I loved Bing Crosby.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's excellent taste.
And Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
All the big
yeah.
bands, all the big bands, Count Basie and Duke
Yeah.
Ellington, all of that, the American music. I used to tune into the AFN and Radio
Yeah.
Luxembourg.
Yeah.
So that's the music I listen to.
Well, I
Johnny,
mean, you
Johnny Ray.
you still love it now, though, don't you? Oh, Johnny Ray.
Music.
Yeah.
Johnny Ray, I love Johnny Ray.
Yeah.
You know,
So,
That's the original EP.
what's that?
That's the EP that I got the song from.
Oh, hold on. We'll put you back on gallery view, mate. Hold on.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Brian.
No, you're not. Don't worry. So, okay.
No, I always show examples.
Ice is a long song, Up the Pool.
Up the Pool is a song. It's about his hometown of Blackpool.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's the original.
Yeah, and how much was that then? 84p.
It cost me in 1972. It was remaindered in Four Boys in St. Chad's Parade, and it cost me 30 pence.
Yeah.
That sounds strange, but I mean, a new single at that time was 47 pence.
Yeah.
You know, so
Madness, isn't it? Madness.
absolutely.
So, Uncle Brian, we're going to come to you for a minute. Where is he? He's over there.
He's
Where
there,
is
I
he?
can see him.
Yes, we're spotlighting him. So obviously you grew up with proper music, as my mum and dad would call it.
Absolutely.
And
I remember it at the very beginning, before rock and roll and before all that, you know, when it was all big bands.
so
So
when the likes of the Beatles and the Kinks and such like came around, what was your view of all that then? Just out of interest, because you were already loving music. Was it a bit like punks and rockers and mods and rockers? Was that type of thing going on? Did you have to like one and not the other, or not? What was it like?
Well, no, I mean, at the time there was the Beatniks, wasn't there? They were sort of more prominent then, you know, with the long dark clothes and all that stuff, and they used to be walking up and down Church Street. And I never got the chance because I was the way things were then. I had other priorities, if you like. to go into Matthew Street, you know, where all these people used to go to and come out of. And then the Beatles came along, and I was working in Ford's at the time. I just got a job in Ford's. I was panel beating. And the Beatles, the first song came out, and then everyone just started loving them.
So next week we're doing a look back to the early days of the Beatles, you know, Lonnie Donegan and all of that. I mean,
Love Lonnie Donegan.
Was that the sort of thing you did? I mean, did you get into that? Was that your, you know, were you as much into that, or did you still prefer the, you know, the swing and the bands?
No, swing is always taken. Frank Sinatra to me is the main man.
Yeah, Frank Albert,
you know,
to his mum, wasn't it?
Well, no, yeah, Francis Albert.
That's him. That's him. Yeah. Well, it's like
Yeah.
our friend John Albert Hall, who can't join us on Zoom because his internet is a bit ropey up in Allerton. But you know, his middle name, you know, he's chosen Albert as a middle name, but he had another stage name beginning with F for his middle name, and he's not allowed to use it in public anymore, Andy, is he?
Well, I think some people they said it and then they realised what they said.
Yeah.
I can't say more than that.
No, you can't. Anyway, Brian, we've put you on the very spot here. Are you gonna croon for us? Are you gonna read something for us? Have you got?
Well, I haven't really prepared anything, Tony, to be honest.
No. Well, I can find one of your songs. That's easy enough. But
Yeah,
you know,
I haven't.
shall I play one of your songs? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to have a dig around your archives for when we come back round in a few minutes? And
Yeah, I don't even know where to look, to be honest.
oh right. Well, you've had a busy day, haven't you?
I have, and I had on Friday. I went to Charlie Newport's memorial.
Oh really? Oh.
You know, yeah, and
well, your friend Kevin was playing at that.
Yeah, well, that's his uncle.
Yeah, I
know. And you saw Shirley Sherman.
She was there. Yeah,
I know Shirley Sherman. She's a friend of mine, Shirley Ellis.
Yeah, she was there.
She's a friend of mine. I've been for many years.
The Casuals, the Oddspots, and loads of others. Met up with one of my old mates from when I was at school. His brother, Billy Roper, who played for the Hillsiders. He's played for Johnny Cash.
Wow, that's quite a thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh yeah. And Billy, he made the very first electric guitar, the hard-bodied one that I'd ever seen. And I was only a boy. He was only a boy. But he'd come over from America, like pictures of them. And because I was in light engineering, and my mate Billy was in light engineering, we used to meet, get on the bus together and come home from Aintree and walk across Breckside Park and discuss all the things we'd made that day. And then I remember it was coming through the entry from August Road into September Road. And Billy Roper was walking up, and he had this big piece of wood in his hand. And he went, "Yeah, Brian, look at this. And I said, "What's that?" He said, "Yeah, I'm making an electric guitar, a hard-bodied one." And he cut it all out of this wood, and he had the frets and everything, and brilliant. And he went on. I mean, he's a fantastic guitarist. He does the double finger picking, you know, like the style and that. But he played for Charlie Boy. He was the lead guitar for Charlie Boy.
I went to see Charlie Boy when I was 18. They were on the Dockers Club.
Yeah, that's right.
Club. I went to see him.
Well, that was
79.
That was Breckside Park. And that's where we used to walk across. Billy and I used to walk across that park.
Because I didn't realise I'd been to see Shirley when she was in the Shermans in Wookey Hollow. That was again 79 because my sister was a nurse at Newsham, which was opposite. But I've got something to show you, Brian.
Hold on then. Let's put you on gallery. Okay. Go on.
Okay. Well, what it is I have here, somewhere in my vast amount of records, I have something which, in fact, I had to get Shirley a copy because even she didn't have a copy. But I can find it. Sorry. Keep talking.
Well, we will. So, I mean, hopefully, Brian, I mean, funerals and that type of thing are always a poignant thing, but, you know, hopefully people had time to reflect on real memories and shared memories and happy memories, and it wasn't just,
oh, it wasn't,
let's be
it wasn't-
miserable.
No, it wasn't. It was absolutely so upbeat.
Yeah, good.
A classy venue now, because they've really, really upgraded it.
Yeah.
Because it used to be quite downtrodden, you know, but it's brilliant.
Oh, here we are.
Go on then.
Will you shut up while I'm talking?
Sorry, mate.
Yeah, you do it all the time.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was just a great upbeat night. All his family were there. All his sons and his daughters were there. And they must have spent a fortune on it. You know, what they presented. And they got all the different bands, all the different guys from different bands from the 60s and 70s up. And each one of them performed. And Kevin, because he's very precise in what he does, he likes everything in order. And each one of them got on stage and they all did a piece of their songs that were out at that time, you know, like the Casuals and Neon Spots, as I said, and Shirley Simon. And then Alistair from Soul Patrol, he got up and Kevin asked him if he'd sing his Uncle Charlie's favourite song of all time, which was I can't even think of the name of it now. Christopher Cross. It was Christopher Cross one. And so Alistair never even heard of him, and he'd never heard of the song, but he went through it all and he rehearsed it, and he got up and he sang the whole lot, and it was just brilliant. At the end of the night, they got all the members, all the guys that were in the band, and they all got on stage with the guitars and the drums, and he had this massive house band. The sound was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was just fabulous. It blew me away. Yeah. It was solid.
Yeah.
You know, with Alistair on harmony, and the other lads, and Kevin, my mate, again, he's a teacher. He teaches guitar.
Yeah, he teaches my friend Frank, actually. He's having lessons with him. Yeah.
Yeah, well, possibly, yeah.
No, he is.
But he does. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he really will. I don't know all the people he teaches, obviously, but he does. He plays like Jeff Beck style as well, or any kind. He's just a brilliant guitarist, and so he took to the stage with his guitar, you know. It's just amazing night. So I was with Stevie Hodge. He was at my table from Charlie Boy, and then my mate Billy, Brian Roper. It was just good night all night, and it was very, very upbeat, and the food was amazing.
Well, I mean, they're
Loads of food.
They're often the two things that make a celebration work, isn't it? You know, good food and good music and good company.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway,
Absolutely.
listen, let us play a song that hopefully will cheer us all. It's called Smile. It's from the Mr. Smooth album by our very own Brian Gibson.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come shining through for you. Hide up your face with gladness, hide every trace of sadness. Although a tear may be ever so near, still worthwhile if you just
That was lovely. So young David's about to join us.
Whoa.
I think I've seen him. His name in the thingy. Anyway, Zoe, have you the waiting room? That's the word. The waiting room. Zoe, you usually have written stuff while we're waiting to ask you to write stuff or read stuff. Have you got a couple of new pieces for us?
I have, yeah.
Your stuff you're doing, or are these ones you're thinking? Dare we ask how is the preparation going for the book?
I feel like I've hit a bit raw, if I'm honest.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've got the material, Zoe. You know, you've written so many powerful and profound pieces.
It's just having the confidence to sort of do anything with it. It's like I'm wanting to, but then sort of putting it together is already giving me nightmares.
Oh, okay. Well, I think maybe
half term to get together at some point.
Yeah. I was going to say half term's coming up. It's not next week. The week after is half term, which for me genuinely is always a nice week because I don't rush around any schools for that week. So maybe we'll have to look at the Monday or the Tuesday, finding an hour when we can, I'll come up to Southport, or we can meet somewhere in Formby, or
you can always email me something if you want to proofread.
Yeah, that's it, Zoe. I think Paul's hit the nail on the head there. It's putting what you've done under someone else's eyes.
Yeah.
And someone like Paul, who's also a writer and a poet, and obviously I read and write. I'm involved in that sort of thing. And let someone else look at the best of what you've done, and arguably, occasionally, someone will go, do you know what? I like those two, but that one's just not got it for this. I mean, we've all got to be able to take criticism, both of a positive and a negative. But
I think it's fine.
Yeah, Monday the 25th onwards that week. I mean, I've got a few commitments, but I've nothing sinister. So, I mean, if you want to drop me a message, and we'll work out, whether I come up Southport, we meet in Formby, or whatever. We'll do that, Zoe. And if that helps, just push
that'd be really helpful. Yeah.
Forwards, if that just helps push you forwards, because I mean, you join in with lots of writers groups. I mean, you're in the Crosby writers group, you're in the Southport writers group. You're there amongst people. You're probably listening to what they're writing and reading what they're writing, without saying, "Can I have my turn now?" And I think, you need to put if you're working on this anthology, you need somebody to sit with you and go over what you've done. And often it's very simple. If there's a theme, you look for things that will fit the theme. Anyway, let's cheer ourselves up, because we're not here to be miserable. This is meant to be about sharing words and stories, not sharing them. So is this something new or something from a while ago?
This is something new, like hot off the press, basically. Not long done it a few minutes ago. Soulless bricks, mortar. Where are the pictures? The splash mug. Where? Left no trace. A lingering, a dank taste, and sauce on nostrils. Not clean for a year. Was it death or decay that drove them away?
Wow. Okay. Ooh. You've obviously had you are the thoughtful, considerate person. You've obviously got things that are mulling through your head, making you think about things rather than just you expressing yourself. There's definitely a slightly dark feel to that, to me. I don't know if Dave or anyone else.
Yeah.
Dave's normally a good spotter of the meaning of poems. Quite intuitive, really. So, I mean, did you pick up on that being a little bit dark? Was that your?
A little bit, yeah. I've just been a bit busy. That's why I'm late on. So
Do not
my
worry.
brain's
We've
just.
been talking about you for an hour. It's
Oh,
terrible. The things
yeah,
we've
I
been
imagine
saying.
it was.
Unbelievable.
At least it's honest.
Unbelievable.
No, but you were also out late last night with myself and Andy at the Kareem Polwart gig, weren't you?
Yeah, very good. It was too.
We played Cat in the Cradle at the start, but you weren't here because I know you liked that one. So we played that for you, and you were late joining us, but we weren't holding against you because I did my usual trick of playing it to myself and no one could hear it for the first minute anyway.
It's so easy.
There's a button you press to share, and it's such a small little tick box. You just don't always spot it. Anyway, Zoe, we're coming back to you because the thing is, you rarely write something that's long and drawn out. So I think we need to make sure every time we ask you to share something with us, it's a minimum of 2 and maybe 3 pieces.
Okay. Would you like another piece now?
We would indeed.
Of course we would.
If you can think of a title for this, please do let me know.
That is a weakness you've got, Zoe, isn't it? You write the words, but you don't always pin a meaning on them. You don't always have a title, do you?
Sometimes, from my own experience, the title's easier than writing the content to go with it because sometimes titles sound so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, I think it's slightly harder with short form poetry, isn't it? Really. Anyway, Zoe, so is this one a recent one again, or?
It's a recent one, yeah. I did this last night.
Okie dokie.
Let it go, starve the shark, let it go. Swim to its eternal gloom. As state struck, pierced skin. Care not for anguish cries. Watch the blood fall. Watch light dim, turn dark. As shark carves its final blow. Is yet another bully won. So be not like a shark. Instead, paddle like a swan. Paddle for justice, eternal hope.
Wow, that's another that's another one that's quite profound, actually. I mean, obviously, you start with "Let It Go." You could just use that because it's you could argue it's the hook line. It's what starts you off and draws you in. But Dave, what I mean, the man of titles, as you now are.
Well, it's a good analogy of water being used there because water is often used like as an analogy for like sink or swim, how to survive, through quite treacherous situations. So it's a good imagery to use there. I do agree.
Yeah,
and I like the difference between the power of the shark and the grace and beauty of a swan. You juxtaposed in the same. Almost like the same stretch of water, although one's fresh water, the other's salt.
Yeah.
The idea that the power and the beauty shouldn't.
Have you ever seen the legs of a swan, Paul?
Yeah, but I'm talking about you think of the swan, you think of the grace and the beauty of it. Yeah, I know the legs are very, very powerful.
You don't want to get kicked by one.
Let's just put it this way. I'd rather swim close to a swan and take my chance there than swim close to a shark.
Okay, that's a fair point. Actually, I remember one of the first films as a slightly older child I went to see was Jaws. I must have been 12 because it must have been a 12. Or whatever. Was it a double A back in the day? Was that what it was? I can't remember now. It was a different certificate scheme back then, wasn't it?
Was the parental guidance? Because it might have been that.
It could have been. Yeah, but we saw Jaws, and I didn't even want a bath when I came home.
As it is all based on fact.
Have you had one since, though, Tony?
Well, I have showers now, boy. Well, I'm an eco boy. I'm an eco boy now. Anyway, Karen, are you going to be brave and give us your new performed piece?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say it's a performed piece. It's a bit of a rant, really.
Oh, good. We like a good rant.
Rant's good. Rant's good.
Is this based on political leanings, Karen?
No, it's just a personal rant.
Oh,
really.
is it about smoking?
No.
You've got to write one about smoking. You've got 2 weeks, because next week we're beetling. So the week after, you if this rant works, just concentrate on the ash and the cigarettes and all that.
Do one on that.
You can do one on smoking. I'm looking forward to it already, because
Yeah,
you and I have chatted about it in Facebook chat a few times.
you have. And I've got one by an American poet that I looked up autumn on the on Google, and I found one that I quite liked. So.
Okay, well, which do you want to give us first? Do you want to be
I'll give you the short one that's not very good first.
Is that the autumn one? So you've looked it up and it's not very good.
That's mine.
Do not worry. It's sometimes you've got to keep going to get where you need to go, haven't you? I mean, it's a brave thing to perform live in front of friends, let alone any other audience. So, let us all judge if it's finished or not, if it's good or not.
Okay. Spring had almost vanished, so you took my summer in your stride. You've blooded my autumn, saw me suffer, but you shall not take my winter. No, when the north wind comes, perhaps it will bring with it another.
Okay.
That's nice.
That's quite biting,
I like
isn't
that.
it? I like that.
Yeah.
I think you get a thumbs up for that, Karen.
Absolutely. Send it somewhere.
Seriously, Karen, that's got everything going. I mean, it covers everything in such a short space as well. Very, very good. No, I think you don't need to worry about that.
Right.
Don't think you need to. Honestly, that is good. I mean, honestly, genuinely, that is great.
Okay.
And it is quite ranty. We get the rant. Because you've not done it in a Brooklyn accent. That's what Oh, you're doing this one in a Brooklyn accent. I'm sorry,
No, I'm not doing this one in an accent. This one is by William Carlos Williams, who was an American poet and pediatrician. And it's called This Is Just to Say. This is just to say, I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox and which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me, they were delicious, so sweet and so cold.
I like that as well. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Short and sweet. That was lovely.
There's something about that sort of admitting that you've done something wrong in a poetic way, isn't there? Yeah. There is. Anyway, David, late to the party, but we're gonna throw you in almost instantly at the deep end. Oh no, God's not with us tonight. No.
Have you got your costume on, Dave? In at the deep end.
All right. I've got this much one to do, because only just.
Well, anything you do is good, because like Andy, you are now in full rehearsal practice mode, aren't you? Every performance now is a rehearsal towards the forthcoming gig at the Philharmonic, isn't it?
Well, it's like what Zoe was referring to, and probably in a bit of a moment where I've been practicing so much that I'm starting to really resent them almost. It's like I keep listening to them again and again and again. It's like, you seriously wrote that? What were you thinking?
Oh, no, you're not. No, honestly, never think that. Never think that.
So,
well, okay, here's a silly question then, because and that's the same with Andy as well, really. So you've written a song, let's say your statue song, okay? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So when you wrote it, you wrote all the words down, probably more or less in one go. How many of those words have you changed since you wrote it the first time then?
Oh, that one, I'd say about 2 of the 4 verses and the bridge probably got a rewrite, because...
So had you performed the original and realised you had to change it, or were you still writing it and kept changing it as you wrote it?
Well, to use a more like author style rhetoric when with this, I usually prefer to write lyrics to songs in more of a third person narrative rather than a first person. And this, I felt, I mean, maybe it was more of a confidence thing, I don't know, but I just felt it was too personal, or to make it a first person. So to hide the vulnerabilities that I was feeling by, like letting this song out, it was really quite. I did have a few moments where I thought, is this a little bit too sensitive to be releasing out there to complete strangers, people who don't know me. So it's, as I was saying to you last night, when I said that, I think that the term often used, I don't know if it's used in poetry or writing books, but it became a problem child, where you didn't. I still thought the idea at its core was good, but I didn't know if I was expressing it the right way, and so I felt it needed a bit of vagueness applied to it, so it wasn't preaching a singular message, because so there's some songs I've heard off of like albums, and you hear them and they're all part of like a consistent theme, but it's up to the point where there's filler songs where if you just played them on their own, they're just like, what was that about? Or it just can't work on its own, and it felt like it was becoming that until I changed quite a lot of the words, really.
So having done all that, then are you now at the stage where within reason the song will stay as you've now written it, or would you actually still change it like this much later on? I mean, you wrote it a year or two back. You didn't write it a month or two back, did you? I mean,
probably about 3 years ago.
So from 3 years ago, when you would call it a finished song, give or take, have you, in that last 3 years, have you changed it again?
It has had changes. I mean, it's not just the words, the music got changed quite a bit too, because with regards to the theme that at least I know it to be, the music really needed work to so that the dynamics fit, at least with regards to what the theme was, the song was to me. And so it's probably being maybe one of the only song that's really had to have a rework, not just lyrically but musically as well. It did because it was so personal at its core. It really I didn't feel really could really do a half job of it.
And another question: when you write, how often are you music led or lyric led? Are you 50-50, or are you far more, I've got words, I'm going to write the words down, and then I'll suddenly go, oh, I know I've got a melody here? I mean, which way do you do both? Do you have melodies and think, what could this become with lyrics, or are you lyrics before melody? Which way?
I wouldn't say it's 50-50. I think most of the time it's music that comes first. But it's not the case that the lyrics always come after, like months after. Sometimes a lyric idea can come on its own, but there's no music for it yet. It's just like, okay, well, don't forget what that idea you had in your mind, at least as far as lyrics were concerned.
I mean, you write your own music and lyrics, so to speak. Have you ever sat with someone else and like created a song alongside another singer as such? Or are they all only just you?
They've so far only been just me, and really there are moments where I have actually thought it would be nice to actually do work in a more collaborative scenario, because I do sometimes think, especially maybe more so with lyrics, that there is moments where my brain is a bit slower in coming up with lyrical themes, because the key to work to a good song is when the music and the lyrics work connect well. It's almost like almost like a marriage that works well. So it's you can't have like a really happy song that's like about a funeral or something like that. It's unless you know really what you're doing. That can be a little bit too experimental. But it's also choices of words, I find too, because whereas with poetry you can just be free flowing with words used. There's no, at least as far as I understand it, there's no necessarily structure that you have to follow with the music. There being like a script or a system which the words have to.
Well, it's called bars, isn't it? Basically,
yeah, like a jigsaw.
Yeah.
So it limits, in some regards, what words you can use, but also sometimes not just the sense of the amount of words, sometimes the amount of syllables a word can have. And so there's been a number of times where I'm just like, no, that word's too long, or that word, there's too many syllables there in that line.
Yeah. Oh, well, no, I mean, I think that's the worst thing about rehearsing anything, whether it's a play or poetry or songs. You suddenly become sick of it before you reach the point of feeling ready to be confident with it. And you're probably at that stage with a few of your songs anyway. Plus, you haven't quite worked out the order and which song you're going to start. Have you got a starting song yet? Have you worked out what song you're going to do first?
Yes, I mean, it's almost. I don't know if all forms of writing are like this, but it's reached a point where the beginning and the end came pretty quickly. As to as far as which ones I was going to do. It was the ones in the middle that was the more challenging ones, because it was a case of, well, okay, the song that I've already got decided to do first, it's quite an energetic one. So do you carry that on, or do you slow it down? And I know the song that I want to end it with, because
you were rehearsing that weekend, I think, weren't you?
And I think it's definitely had, at least as far as people listening is concerned, it's definitely had the most emotional impact. So I felt it's definitely one to send the audience away with, home with, So it was a bit of a no-brainer to have that one as the finale. The others, I mean,
you're just going to do 4 Ed Sheeran covers, aren't you? I thought.
I haven't got all these little pedal things down at his feet. He does tap dance with those systems thing he has. Could do with one.
Well, I mean, if you hang him up now, I think he's got a few songs going spare at the moment, hasn't he?
Well, I mean,
he's just done a new album, so he's bound to have another 25 songs. He's not bothered with.
I wonder what his GCSE in maths was.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
With all his album titles.
He knows all the symbols, but they don't add up, do they? I think Adele's got it up to a better art form.
Oh, that's her age. That was her age. Yeah, that was a clever idea
but
too.
She's got something new due out. She's due. I heard a sample of a new Adele song the other day. I don't know if you saw it in your Facebook or Twitter feed.
I haven't thus far, but I'll probably will have a look around.
Quite sort of low brow, sort of sultry sounding, rather than one of the upbeat ones. Yeah.
Well, a lot of her songs are like that. I mean, she's amazing. I think she's a wonderful singer.
Yeah, I mean, my dad's a big fan. Yeah.
And one of the songs, which I think was off the album she released before, I think it was Hello, I think it was called. And the chorus was just, it threw me really initially because of the words, hello from the other side. And I thought, what is that? Is that about death? Someone who's died, when it really wasn't. But it just shows how people can bring their own interpretation of what they think a song can mean when it's often different to what the writer originally had it penned down as.
Yeah. So are you going to do an Adele cover for us now?
I haven't got a wig or nothing.
Hey, I can lend you. I've got a dreadlock wig if you want to borrow it anytime.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, no, I'll wear it when I do
See,
my pirate days.
Tony, you've talked yourself into that now. You're gonna have to wear that at the gig at the Philharmonic.
I wore it. I wore it when Andy and John and Mark played at the shopping centre. Yeah, it's my Johnny Depp wig from Pirates of the Caribbean, basically.
Right, you've got to wear that for Beatles Thing next week.
Okay, if you want,
Absolutely.
It might look the part, I think.
Yeah. I can be in my hippie phase, can't I? So, are you going to do us a little cover tonight, or one of your own, Dave? What do you want?
Well, I'll give one a go. Yeah, it's not going to be statues, though. I mean, because I say that's
no. That was just a title of yours. I just thought pick out to talk about, really.
Yeah. Okay. And this one, I'm a little bit weird, so it's gonna be more of a slowy version of what I usually do it as. But it's called Pushing. Woke up on the wrong side of bed. Clear up my lazy, sleepy head. See the clock, it fills me with dread. Running late to catch the train. The station's packed, it's just insane. Panic quickly fills my brain. Train pulls in, now comes to a stop. I can feel my own heartbeat drop. The door's now open, getting chop chop. Pushing, shoving, get out of my way. Pushing, shoving, I'm late today. Pushing, shoving, there ain't no room. Train's now full, there's another one soon. Standing on the platform, wasting time. Made to wait is such a crime. Each second feels like a lifetime. This train's ticking much too long. Is it late or is something wrong? Gotta be ready when it comes along. Pushing, shoving, get out of my way. Pushing, shoving, they're late today. Pushing, shoving, there ain't no room. Train's now full, there's another one soon. Finally, the train pulls in. Where the hell has it been? Doors open up, let the fun begin. Hold it together, gaze at the floor. As I reach that open door, they close on me, won't let no more. Pushing, shoving, get out of my way. Pushing, shoving, I'm late today. Pushing, shoving, there ain't no room. Train's now full, there's another one soon. Pushing, shoving, get out of my way. Pushing, shoving, I'm late today. Pushing, shoving, got a bad day ahead. Train's now full, so I'm going back to bed.
I love that song. It's just it can be taken many
Going
different
back
ways.
to bed, I like that.
It can be taken more ways than one, can't it? It can be. Dear. Yeah.
That one was probably much easier really to create because the inspiration came pretty quick. You know, just it's a daily experience, and then just hearing the sound, you know, like when traveling and hearing like sounds of like, you know, when trains coming in and out of the station, the whole thing just came. It's a simple song, but it came together really quickly. That one, I'm proud of it to this day. So no spoilers, but that one probably will appear. This thing.
I hope it does. No, I hope it does. I hope it does. Anyway, so as Dave wasn't here earlier, he missed giving Paul because he wasn't with us earlier. So we played Crow on the Cradle earlier. The other song I liked last night was this one, Dave. I hope you like this one too.
The suitcase in the lobby is always packed and ready for the leaving if he needs to, when he needs to, when it comes. The only thing you need to know is when it's time to go, when it's time to go. And the whistle blows and the train leaves the station. Each coach's line was silver and gold, and in his dream, no final destination. Everyone on board grows old. Knee to knee, they sit in rows. The sunlight is warm on their skin. Wet noses pressed to the window pane, and each one is glowing from within. And they're heading for home, heading for home. Satchels and raincoats and heading for home, heading for home, heading for home. Picnics and blankets and heading for home. Friends and lovers, fathers and mothers, and the skinny wee boys who didn't make it. They're heading for home, heading for home. Satchels and raincoats and heading for home. And he still holds his father's hand, and he still holds his father's hand. And he still holds his father's hand, 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 and he still holds his father's hand. Each coach's line was silver and gold, and in his dream, no final destination. Everyone on board grows old. Everyone on board grows old. And the only thing you need to know is when it's time to go, when it's time to go. The suitcase in the lobby is always packed and ready.
So, Dave, you were there last night. I mean,
That was definitely amongst
Well, it
the
was.
three favourites of the night, yeah.
Oh,
The funny thing was, though, thinking back to it now, and I've just played that almost sounds like, at least to me, almost like a sequel to Crow on the Cradle.
It's got a similar vibe, hasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, because like Crow on the Cradle was more of like the one them being sent off, you know, and it's this almost like them coming back, you know, like
Yeah.
the sequel from
Yeah.
whatever
Well, it was based on
was
the
sent off
kinder,
to.
was it based on the kinder transport, wasn't it? Wasn't it the Jewish children being evacuated? It was
That was
that's
Boss,
where
that.
she took the inspiration from, wasn't it?
It's
But
very relevant now, though,
very much. But
in a number of things.
It was like a wind-powered piano stroke organ she played. It was an amazing engineered piece of kit, wasn't it? Yeah.
Never seen it before. I mean,
No.
I don't know if they're available to buy or it was just specially made for her.
Yeah. But I mean, she had the other girl playing an accordion, a triangle. She played some keyboard. She played a cymbal all at the same time. She was like an octopus, the other lady, wasn't she?
I think she had a few looper systems, like you mentioned, like Ed Sheeran, he used them too.
Yeah.
So has the sound can just keep it going while she does other things. So
yeah.
that's the method behind the magic.
There was one bit. I mean, she was playing the accordion and keeping it going with her elbow, wasn't she? And then she suddenly pulls this triangle out and dangles it and starts playing it up in the air. It was an amazing gig, really, wasn't it? I mean,
it was.
It was, the sound quality in that room, though, it's lovely, isn't it? We were fairly at the back, really, but it's just the right sized room that you don't feel too far away from the stage. The sound was just as good where we were as it would have been, in the middle of the main audience, I think. Or at least I didn't feel let down by being, at the back anyway.
No, we could hear everything clearly, and it's really one of the biggest challenges for live performers to figure out is how their music sound, what sort of venues does it suit most, because sometimes there's some artists who can play quite intimate, low volume gigs like that in massive places, and it's just too quiet.
Yeah.
And in other sides, there's really high energy gigs that's played in small venues, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's great," but it is.
Yeah, I've been to a few of them. Anyway, let us quickly move on. We've got 15 minutes left, so we're going to go quickly around, letting everyone throw something at us if there's something to throw. Kitchen sink for you, Paul.
Yeah, what I have actually is I have to read this from my PC because I haven't got a working printer at the moment.
Oh dear.
But I hope you can still see me. I'm looking at what I'm going to read.
Yeah, we can see you.
Yeah, we can see you.
And it was basically someone started with Blackpool, and it just so happens I've got something about Blackpool as well.
Right.
Before he completed 200 yards from the railway station, he was absolutely drenched in sweat. The heat was oppressive. He used a week's leave scrambling around some of his favourite haunts, free climbing in the Lake District. Cool mountain breezes and the solitude have been infinitely preferable to the claustrophobic streets of this relatively small holiday town, with overweight tourists wearing kiss-me-quick hats. His backpack wasn't heavy. He was accustomed to travelling light. All the same, the short walk had exhausted him. He needed a drink. At least pubs were easy to find on the Esplanade. He paused outside one, almost identical with both of its neighbours, but his eye had spotted the camera sign beneath the name. He then noticed the two men drinking outside were using traditional old-fashioned bubbled tankards with handles. They didn't look like tourists either. He pushed his way inside. Beer for a thirsty man. What's your bestseller? The local brew's good. It's called Surf's Up. He'd intended a modest preliminary sip. I was embarrassed to discover he was holding an empty glass. He blinked, waved away the barmaid's attempt to give him a change. "You better keep that and fill me another one. Take one for yourself. I didn't realise how thirsty I was." Suddenly, a red dot glowed on the corner of his wristwatch. Seconds later, a dark blue quadrant appeared. He had 15 minutes to ring a certain number. Or else? In his job, there was no such luxury as or else. He didn't care. Sorry. Right. Here we go. He went into business mode as he picked up his mobile. "Sorry, All bets are off. All leave is cancelled. Not just yours, everyone's. Where's your nearest airport? Yeah, there's a small airport in Blackpool. But for commercial flights, I have to get to Liverpool. Ticket waiting for you at John Lennon. 6 o'clock flight. I'll arrange the chopper to get you from Blackpool to Liverpool. Helicopter to Liverpool and a flight to London? No. HQ has been compromised. Your ticket is not for London. Closed his phone, looked around. Went back inside the pub. Sorry, I'm missing, yeah. Went back inside the pub. This might be the last chance I get for a drink, he told himself. If anything, the day was hotter, more oppressive than before. 4 hours to travel, about 30 miles in a helicopter. He had plenty of time for another pint. You're right, the surf's out's nice. Everyone seems to like it, sir. I've got last chance for a decent pint. I just got a call from my boss. Can you stay inside this time, sir? Yes, I need the memory of a pretty face to cheer me up at work. But there's no need for formalities. The name is Bond. James Bond.
Have you been,
Oh, you had me guessing there where that was going to.
Paul? I think you've been naughty there.
Well, I've called it Candlelight.
Yeah.
And it is intended as the script of the next James Bond movie.
Yeah. I've got a friend who's done an audition tape of him playing the new James Bond, and he's put a tuxedo on and everything, and he's filmed a little cameo of him as a James Bond character, and he's convinced that you know that who makes James Bond these days? I don't know which company. Is it Warner? I don't know who makes them anymore.
I think it's MGM.
MGM. Yeah, he's convinced he's going to get picked up as the new James Bond.
Well, never say never.
Yeah,
they've already done that one, so that one's already been done. They vaguely did a remake, didn't they? They brought Sean Connery back as an unofficial James Bond, and they remade Thunderball under another title, didn't they? When
the lottery didn't complain, did they?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, no, they did, because Roger Moore had been James Bond for about 3 or 4 films, and then all of a sudden Sean Connery came back as well, a remade James Bond. Do you remember that, Paul?
I'm trying to think. It wasn't Octopussy, was it?
No, that was Roger Moore. No, that was Roger Moore. Yeah. But I'll Google it. I'll Google it in a minute. I think you know, we will let Zoe have a couple of pieces off Zoe.
Yes, please.
First one is one that I've done like a few minutes ago. So it's rough and ready. Open your heart, feel the pain of another. Let the emotion bleed together. Hold the hand, not the eye. Let tears fall. Row free. Let them join you as you are not an island. It's not like isolation shake you down, drown you with despair. As those days bleak, lights will come. So hold the moment, hold the hope.
Very nice.
Have you got another one for us, so?
Yep, I have. Sure I have. A U-turn breaks, hope, like the feeling rises once more. A chill moves, making room for human warmth, contact, and interlocking the fingers, a hug without risk. A smile seen, not felt, as once more the world opens, family, friends meet, and the prison fear melts.
Wow. I mean, you do like getting your meaning and words out almost. I'm going to say, I don't mean quickly, but I mean you don't like expanding, Zoe, do you? You like this sort of this is what I mean, and you're gonna get what I mean straight away. Do you ever write anything longer? I reckon 100 words is probably the maximum.
I do occasionally, but I just find I tend to, what I'm more likely to is put two short poems, standalones, but sort of link them together, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, which I used to write quite short. I used to call it eco poetry. I was saving words for later. You know, so
I think it makes a lot of sense. I think long kind of poem questions, should it be maybe split? So
yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure Karen hasn't got anything else, or have you, Karen?
No, I've got nothing else.
No, you're very good, really. You're always like just watching and listening to what the rest of us throw into the world. Brian, Uncle Brian.
Oh yes.
Hello. Have you delved into your?
I have. I've got some old ones. I might have read them already. I don't know.
Doesn't matter, mate. Doesn't matter. Let's.
Now I've got 2 or 3. They're not long. Just
okay. We'll do 3 then.
Okay. Where are we? This one is called "Please Don't Eat Our Animals." What's that noise?
Don't know. Just bear with us, folks. If we all mute ourselves, and then hopefully it's just Brian who's whatchamacalling it. So, folks, if you just bottom left of your screen, I think maybe just someone's microphone is a bit oversensitive. So, if we all mute ourselves, I'm going to mute myself, and Brian, if you just hit us with your three odes.
Oh yeah, okay. This one's called "Please Don't Eat Our Animals." We live and we die, and we don't know why. We're on this earth, both you and I, along with creatures great and small, side by side, one and all. Now the animals on land and sea, they all belong, like you, like me. They love and they cherish earth and life. And animals like us, they take a wife. They live and they love and they have their young. And they protect and feed them and make a home. Sometimes they hunt and make a kill, but they never go for overspill. So why do humans break that mold and just kill and slaughter young and old? They eat their families, mums and dads, the sisters and brothers. It's so sad. They kill for fun or even sport, and they cull the babies for their furs. They steal their hides, they drink their blood. And I, for one, don't think they should. Do you? And that's one poem. This is a bit of a silly poem, the next one. It's called "What's His Name?" I remember that cricket match. Hard, brown, dusty ground. The sweat was pouring off me as I chased that ball around. Religious as a church do, after red hot Sunday roast, I always got up early and my dad would make the toast. But getting back to cricket, I hate that bloody game. My mate would always call for me. You know him, you know what I mean. What's his name? And that's the second one. Let's see if we can find the third one quickly. As soon as this one's called "The Woman in My Dreams." As soon as my head hits a pillow, and as soon as my eyes are closed tight, that's when she comes out of the shadows and she takes me off into the night. At the side of my bed, she waits for me in a negligee sequined in gold. She leans down and whispers to me, "Ah, my love, I've been waiting for you so long. She elegantly takes hold of my hand and presses it close to her chest. Then, with piercing blue eyes and a honey sweet smile, I hope you can guess the rest. That's it.
We like that, Brian. Good work. Really good. Yeah.
Tony, I don't know if you've done something, but I've got no video.
Oh, well, I can see you.
I can see you.
I can see you.
Yeah.
I can see you. Yeah.
All I can see is the screen says log in with Facebook.
How weird. Well, I don't know what's going on there, Paul, because I can see Zoe, Brian, you, Karen, Dave. I can see everybody.
Weird.
Yeah. Well, you're still visible, so Paul, just stay where you are, because we've just got one thing to end with, which is poor old Dave being put on the spot again to play us out tonight with I don't know, either one of his or one of someone else's.
Oh, right then.
It's the terrible thing about being put on the spot, isn't it, Dave?
I don't know if I use that word. I don't know if I use those words, but I mean, it's a test of how spontaneous you can be.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Well, Dave, you always rise to the occasion.
You do, mate. You
do.
Yeah.
Right. I'll finish with this one because, as I say, it always works, or it has so far. I'm waiting for the ones for people who don't like it to pop up at some stage. Okay. Many times in my life, things don't go my way. It drives me completely mad. But even when I'm low, I know you'll be there to show me things are not so bad. In times of frustration, I know all will be okay. You help me to stand tall again with the words that you say. Put things in perspective, make it all so clear. Help me find my inner strength, face the things that I fear. You'll never know what a help you are to me. I'll never know without you where I would be. We'll never know what lies ahead, let's see. But you'll never know what a friend you've been to me. Can't only say I'm grateful, don't feel that it's enough. You always save me from myself on days where I feel so rough. If you need me, then I'll be there. If you don't feel too good to aid you when you are in need, for me, I know that you would. You'll never know what a help you are to me. I'll never know without you where I would be. We'll never know what lies ahead, let's see. But you'll never know what a friend you've been to me. You've always been the one to show that you care, never letting go, even if you don't know the answer, you'll always be there. You'll never know what a help you are to me. I'll never know without you what I would be. We'll never know what lies ahead, let's see. But you'll never know what a friend you've been to me.
I love that song.
Very
It-
nice.
I do. I like
I
that.
like
Dave.
that song.
It's a song
Yeah.
that
Played
you
that
just
a
want
couple
to
of
hug.
times and I
You
like
just
it.
want to hug. You just want to hug him, don't you? It's
I know.
it's lovely. It's such a lovely song, Dave. You must be
Hmm.
so proud of it. I mean, I know it's hard to pick favourite songs of your own and or poems or stories or books, but surely that song must make you feel happy yourself.
I'm happy with how well it's been received. I mean,
Yeah.
I never really thought it'd be received as well as it has. I mean,
Oh.
and I never thought badly of it, even since writing it. And it's probably about the second song I ever wrote.
Yeah.
But it's I mean, every author, whether it be poetry, books, or music,
Yeah.
songwriting, they write loads of stuff, but there's still single ones throughout their entire history that they still think, even years after writing it, that
Yeah.
that's still a good one. It's one of my favourites.
just don't.
Yeah,
Aren't you glad
that's
you didn't do a
brilliant.
Aren't you glad you didn't do a Christmas song then?
Here's a thought
No,
for you,
don't
Dave.
mention. Listen, Tony, we've already had one C word. We don't know the other one just yet.
Dave, here's a thought for you.
Yeah.
Old boy of mine from St. Francis Xavier's, Nathan Carter,
I know. Yeah.
recently started doing a country and western show on Sunday morning.
He has. He's very good. Yeah.
And I think that would fit very nicely in one of Nathan's shows. You ought to send him a copy.
Well, you're in the middle of
Absolutely.
you're mixing and recording at the moment, Dave, aren't you? You're in the middle of doing all that sort of stuff, aren't you?
Prepping tracks up for
It's not
finishing,
quite
yeah.
what I would have thought traditional country and western, but you could certainly work it into a country and western style.
Hmm.
I think Nathan would like that.
Well, the original doesn't have. It's got more of like a more of like a maybe an 80s ballady sort of sound to it. The original, but as just it works in
You're
acoustic
too young to
environments
know
without
80s ballads, Dave. You went around in the 80s.
I was born in '84, Tony.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's not technically being around the 80s, though, is
I
it?
was dancing to the 80s ballads. It was the last time I danced in public was the 80s, I think. No, I think I've danced since. Yeah. No, it's funny, isn't it, when there's periods of time like the 60s and the 70s and 80s, and you sometimes don't know how old people are, whether or not they were living through that period or they've become fans of that period. But in retrospect, so because you were born in the 80s, so technically you're more the Spice Girls and that type of era, or would have.
Now,
Yeah,
Mark,
Francesca loves the Spice
don't
Girls.
invent some Spice Girls.
No, well, I was just thinking of one of the most obvious names. I mean, were they a big band when you were like 11, 12? Is that that period?
Yeah, round about
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else was
I
it
mean,
then when
I'll
you were
admit
back
the
at
80s
school,
music.
Dave? Who
What's that, sorry?
else was big when you were, school and all that? Who were you into?
Take that.
Can you remember?
No.
Boys Home?
That was sacrilegious to say that in our school if you were a fan of them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or were you instantly into like classic vintage, like Duran Duran and Queen and ELO and whatever?
Queen, definitely.
Yeah.
Queen was
Yeah.
one of them.
Yeah.
I think because they brought Bohemian Rhapsody back in the 90s, they re-released
it got
it.
re-released, didn't it? It got re-released, yeah.
And then after that, I think was it Show Must Go On, and
yeah.
The first album of theirs I bought was Innuendo. It was the first one I got of theirs.
Yeah.
And that's still one of my favourites of theirs.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's not like, I know Night of the Opera is like the most well known or the most famous one that they wrote.
Queen Greatest Hits is their most well known, isn't it? Really.
I know there's so many songs. Like, I mean, the Greatest Hits album, from what I can recall, there's not much on there that's from their early albums. It's most of it's from like Night of the Opera.
Somebody to Love's on it, which is quite early, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like all the early ones
as well.
Flick of the Wrist.
What was that, Bri?
I'm sorry. I'm saying Flick of the Wrist.
Oh, yeah.
Love that one.
Yeah, that's quite an early one. Yeah, but I don't think that was a single. You know, I think it's just a good song. They always wrote some interesting songs. You know, when you were talking about filler before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, all bands have songs that aren't quite as good as other songs. But some of their filler songs, like "I'm in Love with My Car," do you know that one? Right. I mean, that really was what you might call a filler song, but that's great. You know.
Mm.
And Tenement Funster, that was another one of Rogers, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, guys, I've got something else I need to do, so we are going to bid you all a fond farewell. Next week,
really enjoyed it.
Half-7 is the early days of the Beatles. But if you want to chip in with a story or something you've written about them, or a song inspired by them, or by them, or by someone who's friends with them, Dave. I don't know if anyone's friends with Paul McCartney anymore, but you know.
I was in the Liffey early on, Tony. And it just reminded me of something. And there's a guy there was like a little alcove, and there was no other seats available, so I ended up sitting at the very back. And so I said, "Can I sit there?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I've seen him once or twice before. And then a George Harrison song come on, and he said, he wrote some fantastic songs, George Harrison. And I said, "I know he did." He said he used to live 2 doors away from me. He said,
"Really?"
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Wow.
Yeah, he said. But
so
George
did he know?
he
genuinely knew him.
He knew him, I was like a neighbour or something.
Yeah. I hope he was well behaved and didn't smash milk bottles and things like that.
Well, probably didn't.
No, he was a nice, quiet boy, wasn't he? Was that naughty John Lennon chap? He'll have drunk the milk out of the bottles and put the silver lid back on. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Paul McCartney's been on the radio today because he's got a new book coming out at the end of the month, hasn't he? And his latest exposure was everyone thinks
his latest exposure.
he now, Tony. Indeed, I did phrase that badly, but you know, he was pictured as being the Beatle that broke the Beatles up in most opinions, but you know, he was very actively saying it was all down to John Lennon, who's not around to answer that.
Wasn't it? It was that, wasn't it?
Andy knew more about it than I did. We were talking about it just before.
You've just mentioned Paul McCartney.
Yes.
And Paul McCartney's best friend was Carla Lane.
That's right. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And Linda McCartney.
Yes.
And I've got a poem here, and it's very, very quick.
Okay.
And it's called, because I knew Carla very, very well.
I know you did. Oh no, I know.
I used to live
down with
south
her many times, didn't you? Yeah.
Many times. And I just called it My Special Friend. I've got a special friend called Carla Lane. She's full of love and she makes me laugh. Some say she's rich and she says she's not, but I don't think about what she's got. To me, she's a gentle, kind and sweet. And my thoughts for her, they run quite deep. I like her ways, her eyes, her thighs, and the way she giggles when she smiles. Her love for creatures great and small have left no boundaries to unfold. The smallest mouse, the largest cow. Carla, my friend, to you I bow.
Oh, that is lovely, Brian.
Yeah.
You're quite a sentimental little fellow at heart.
Oh, very terrible.
Are you what's called a happy drunk? When you get drunk, do you hug people and tell them
I hug them anyway without a drink. I only have a pint when I go out, maybe 2. And people are always, even last night, I sit there with half a pint and I'm happy with that. You know, I could go and buy 10 pints if I wanted.
Yeah, but you drink half pints of whiskey, don't you?
Well, not for a while.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
People always
That's
offer.
my confession. That now.
Is it now? Is it now? Oh, Dave, I didn't see you as a big drinker.
Yeah, but people are always wanting to buy me drinks, and I go, no, honest to God, oh no, please let me buy you a pint.
Yeah.
Even last night, a guy and a girl,
Yeah.
Can I buy you a drink? And I said, no, don't be
very quickly, because I am going to go in a minute. A friend of my wife's relatives died, and they were given the house keys to go and empty stuff out the house, and they were emptying furniture and all that out, feeling a bit sad, as you can imagine. And as they were going in and out of the room, they noticed this strange creaking noise, and it really bugged them because it was every time they went in and out of the room. Eventually, they calmed down and they fiddled around on the floor a bit, found out where this floorboard that was creaking was. So they pulled the carpet back, and this floorboard's loose. So they lift this floorboard up, and underneath the floorboard was not one, not two, but many bottles of whiskey. And they were all expensive.
Don't be telling Dave that.
I know, well, it was his fault. Yeah. They were all expensive, like vintage bottles of whiskey. And apparently this guy, their uncle who died, used to go to Scotland every year, and he'd buy more than one bottle, and he drank it, but he thought he was saving it for like a rainy day, as it were. There were about 20 or 30 bottles of whiskey under the floorboards, but posh bottles of whiskey, Dave, can be worth like 5 times what you paid for. You know, they have some wine, they have vintages, don't they?
Yeah, and some of them takes them like about 30 years to make. You know, it's just it's amazing how long the process actually is.
Yeah, so imagine that, finding 30 bottles of like more than 30-year-old malt under the floorboards in your uncle's house.
Well, it's a better outcome than what's usually underneath the floorboards in other forms of media.
Dead mice and buttons and pound coins.
Yeah.
Anyway, folks, as ever, it's been a great treat to have you join us. For those who've watched us and listened on Facebook, as ever, thank you. If you do want to join in, folks, just send me a DM. You're actually welcome to become part of the visual audience. You don't just have to be out there watching from the outside. So we're doing a very early days of the Beatles next week, and then after that we will hopefully have Alban back to do a bit of a literary Monday for us. And I think Dave's going to at some point put together a little gathering of some songs, more than just one or two.
Are you really? Good for you.
In a few weeks' time, I think you are, aren't you?
If you want me to.
I think we'll talk about that.
I think we do.
And hopefully, Zoe, Paul will be able to join us in a week or two and do some Irish ballads and such like.
But he should be with us next week.
Yeah, no, I know he was off seeing his mum up in Northumberland way, is it?
Yeah, somewhere like that.
Yeah. No, he did message me. He said he hasn't seen his mum for like nearly a year, maybe even longer. So hopefully seeing her and catching up with her was a good thing. It must be quite emotional when you haven't seen your mum for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but he's a big lad. He's a big lad. He'll be all right.
Show you this, Tony. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go on, mate. Yeah.
No. This is something I started making years ago.
Oh, hold on, let's put you on visuality. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. We need to. Ooh. What is that then, Brian?
It's a little sculpture that I did.
Yeah.
It's only upside down on an old bowl at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see. And if you see.
Oh, okay. We can see it now. Yeah.
You've got. I think it's that George Harrison one side.
Oh, very clever.
And then you got Ringo Starr.
Ringo, yeah, you can see the nose on that one actually.
Yeah. And then it goes round like that.
That's pretty cool. That are you gonna paint it?
And it's John Lennon. Well, it's all clay and latex.
Yeah. But you could.
It's gone very hard.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Originally, I was going to take it and split it all
No, I think it's cool. It's cool
Oh, it
like
looks
that.
cool like that.
Really cool like that.
Cool like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a bronze now, but
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
But it's
So,
that's
how
it.
did you have the idea of putting all 4 heads on one body, so to speak?
I don't know. I don't know where they come from. It's like
cool,
Dave.
that.
It's like Dave when he writes a song. You don't
Yeah.
know where it comes from, Dave. There, it just appears.
Dave
Yeah.
just couldn't get on the train to work one day and got fed up, I think.
No, that was from just experiencing the London Underground.
Oh, but it was. It's definitely
Yeah, it was.
Do you know what
it was just. It made me laugh how some people couldn't wait for 2 minutes for the next train.
Yeah.
If the one was full.
Yeah. If you had the time when you put it onto a CD, Dave, you could get like background announcement noises in the background, and the train now on platform 2.
Oh, talking about when ideas come and you don't know where they come. This is another one I did years ago. The birth of the Beatles.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Hold on. Really? Really? very, very graphic. That. Look at that, right? I'm not so sure we should have put that on full screen now.
Right to the point,
Brian,
isn't it?
Brian, that's not sponsored by Heinz Baked Beans, is it?
No.
Right, guys, listen, I am going to have to go. I've got someone I've got to get in touch with. I will speak to you all soon, and we will see you all next Monday. Then, if anyone is able, a week Thursday, 7:30, Hightown Pub, do come along, read a piece or sing a piece. Sally Ann's open mic night is great fun with a brand new PA system. Well, second-hand, brand new. Brand new second-hand. But it should make all the difference. I think, whether or not it's a bit of singer-songwriter or poetry, it does help to have a sound system that people can hear properly. So hopefully, if you can't come to that one, Dave, because you're rehearsing and working, do come in the new year. And usually what happens is the poets all have a go and do 1 or 2 poems. And then if there's anyone who's going to sing, they do 3 songs usually. So it's mainly poetry, but singer-songwriters are welcome. Some one Thursday in the future, come up to Hightown and meet Sally Ann, my friend, and some of the poets that are there as well. Yeah.
Sounds good.
You come most times, so don't you?
I do when I can. I'm not sure I'm going to be a speaker next one, because that's when a group of Crosby Falls. It's a bit of an unfortunate thing with the timing.
This is the problem. This can be the problem with open mics and things, can't it? But there's another open mic going on at Southport Market, which don't know if people saw that. Well, it's gone all food and drink and bar now, Southport Market. But I saw someone posting about that earlier today, so I'll try and get the details. Paul and Dave and Brian and Zoe, and we'll have a look at that sometime. That's if you're allowed that far north, Brian. Are you allowed?
Where is it? To where?
Southport.
Oh, Southport. Yeah, not far.
Have you been that far north?
Not for a while.
No, you're quite South Liverpool, aren't you? You're down.
I know.
So's Dave. You three are all posh South Liverpool blokes.
Tony, don't. I've already been up to John and Groats, mate. So north is no deterrent for me.
Yeah, you've been up to the lakes in the rain last weekend, from what I remember, didn't you? You picked the wettest day of the year to go to the Lake District, Dave, didn't you?
Well, one of them. It's always a guarantee in Britain's holidays, no matter where you go.
Yeah. Was it? I mean, did you manage to enjoy yourself? It was pretty wet down here, so God knows what it was like where you were.
It wasn't wet; it was just cloudy. Clouds was really the thing. So, and depend, of course, on the scenery and the surroundings.
Yeah.
Sometimes
where did you go? Which bit of the lake did you go to?
Ambleside was where we were based. Yeah,
I like Ambleside.
Yeah.
Now I was in Keswick early in the week, and the weather was not dissimilar to you, Ad. Really, you felt you were above the clouds rather than below them, basically. But it was still lovely. I mean, it was quite spooky, actually. It was, it had a real sort of, you could picture ghosts skating across the lake, But yeah, no, we stopped in Windermere for a bit, then we did Ambleside, and then went up to Keswick. My friend writes scary stories for teenagers, basically, and he wants to set his next one up in the Lake District.
Oh, is that Dave?
No, not Dave.
Oh,
no, Joe
No.
Delaney. So there's a stone circle near Keswick, Castle Rig. Don't know if you've been to see it.
What was it called again?
Castle Rig.
I've heard of it. I've not been to it though.
Yeah, it's not that high up actually. In your head you think it's going to be quite high up. I mean, it's probably 1,000 foot up, but it's not way high up. You can walk to it from Keswick if you wanted. But it was quite atmospheric when we were there, because obviously there was a mist and drizzle all over the hills. So he was quite happy. He definitely got into the zone.
Well, one place which you've been to, Tony, and I've been to as well, which definitely has that atmosphere at night, Whitby Abbey.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Especially if you don't go up the 199 steps and you go the long way round to it.
Oh God! Them steps are a killer anyway, aren't they? Oh yeah. Now Whitby Abbey. Now I'd love to go there for an evening. Like a rock concert or something in the evening. There would be, would be rather special, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Well, just at the Abbey at night, it's so tranquil, but also quite eerie at the same time, because there's nothing there,
Yeah.
But it makes you think that there is,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Not alone there.
Yeah, no, I had a great day in Whitby. I would highly recommend it if you've not been. Just go over. The harbour's great. You can do the Dracula. There's the Dracula Museum. They've got artifacts of Bram Stoker's in the museum up at the Abbey as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think it's a signed first edition, isn't it? Is in the museum.
Oh, maybe
a,
it's been a while since I was last there. For back 2014, I think it was when I was last there.
I mean, that was as far as he went. He didn't leave England when he wrote Dracula. He never went to Transylvania. He literally just interviewed people in Whitby. He just interviewed fishermen and people like that who'd been abroad, but he didn't go. No, seriously. Yeah, he was an Irish vicar originally. Abraham Stoker. Yeah, so that's where Bram comes from. He comes from Abraham. So there you are. You learn something every day, don't you? Yeah,
absolutely.
Anyway, guys, listen, I really must go. Thank you, everyone, and thank you to the people out there. We will see you next Monday for 64 years of the Beatles and more. And thank you all for joining in.
Enjoy.